This is The Gist, the essential podcast for the discerning listener.
Welcome to The Gist. It is Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. I'm John.
And I'm Mary. We are your smart friends on the go, making sense of today's news. Let's dive right in.
We start with the gist view. The big story today, China's economy is hitting a structural wall.
Right. In the second quarter, China's gross domestic product expanded by just 4.3%.
Let's define that quickly. GDP is simply the total price tag of all goods and services a country produces.
And 4.3% is China's weakest growth rate since 2022. The Wall Street Journal points out a huge imbalance here. Domestic spending inside China is dismal, but their exports are surging.
Beijing is pumping state subsidies into factories. They want to manufacture their way out of a slump.
It's a classic power move. Beijing relies on export-driven manufacturing. It plays to their core strengths. Plus, it avoids the messy, inflation-heavy consumer stimulus we often see in Western democracies.
But here is the problem. You can order a factory to build 1 million electric cars. You cannot order a consumer to buy them.
Exactly. Think of it like a massive bakery. The locals stop buying bread, so the baker just keeps baking, hoping the next town over will buy the surplus forever.
Eventually, that next town says, enough. We have our own bakeries to protect. Foreign democracies will not endlessly absorb China's industrial overcapacity. By flooding the global market, Beijing actively invites Western tariffs. That will ultimately choke their long-term growth.
We've seen this movie before. Back in the 1980s, Japan had a massive export boom. Then, Western buyers had enough. They signed the 1985 Plaza Accord.
That agreement forced Japan's currency to appreciate. Their goods became too expensive overnight.
The core insight here is simple. If your entire economy relies on having a surplus, you are strictly captive to the tolerance of your buyers.
Let's shift to the global overview. Money is moving, and it is crossing the Atlantic.
Necco Health just raised $700 million for its United States expansion. This is a preventative healthcare startup. They scan your body for early disease markers. The company was actually founded by Spotify's Daniel Ek.
That new cash quadruples their valuation to almost $7 billion.
This highlights a massive trend in resource flows. European tech founders often hit a ceiling with local funding. So what do? They look to the massive scale of United States financial markets.
Especially for hardware innovation, the United States simply has the deep pockets needed to scale up.
Moving to geopolitics, the cost of moving goods around the world is staying high. Politico reports renewed missile exchanges between the United States and Iran.
These tactical strikes just are not keeping shipping lanes fully secure. That cements higher maritime trade costs. Who loses here? Consumers. We end up paying more for everything.
In brighter news, international alliances are looking up, literally. Tomorrow, July 16th, the Republic of Serbia is heading to NASA headquarters.
They are signing the Artemis Accords. That is a United States-led international agreement. It sets out the best practices for space exploration.
It shows how earthbound geopolitical alliances are now extending into orbit.
Bringing it back closer to home, let's look at the European perspective.
A group of European economists wants to radically change how we buy medicine. The group is called the Centre for Economic Policy Research, or CEPR.
Right now, 27 different European Union nations negotiate their own drug prices. The CEPR wants to replace that with a single European Union buyer.
That would create a monopsony. A monopsony is a market where there is only one buyer.
The incentive makes sense. A single giant buyer has massive leverage over pharmaceutical companies. It stops those companies from exploiting pricing differences between countries.
But there is a catch. If you detach the drug makers' revenue from the national governments paying the bills, you create a new problem.
Exactly. You trade corporate price gouging for union-wide bureaucratic delays. Access to medicine could just turn into an internal European Union fight over who gets what money.
Further east, Ukraine is actively degrading Russia's logistics. Over just 9 days, Ukrainian drone forces hit 116 Russian vessels in the Sea of Azov.
They are targeting Moscow's Shadow Fleet. These are the off-the-books ships used to move fuel.
At the same time, military strikes hit major Russian oil refineries. This is forcing Russian transport officials to scramble and divert cargo. It is a direct chokehold on Russian resource flows.
Finally, some delayed accountability here in Germany. It's about the devastating Ahrtal floods from 2021.
Those floods caused 185 deaths and 33 billion euros in damage. Now, Minister-President Gordon Schneider has formally apologised for the government's failure to protect its citizens.
It has been 5 years, yet regional municipalities are still struggling to find the capital to rebuild basic physical infrastructure. The institutional gaps remain glaring.
Taking the temperature of the day, global manufacturing is learning that you cannot export your way out of a domestic slump. Tech innovators are following the big money to America, while Europe is stuck debating how to distribute its capital, whether that is for buying breakthrough drugs or rebuilding flooded towns. In a world of constant friction, the biggest winner is simply whoever controls the purse strings.
That's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed having a smart friend on the go to decode the news, we'd love for you to join our community. You can get the gist delivered free to your inbox every single day.
Just tap the subscribe link right there in your show notes. It's totally free, it's fast, and it keeps you ahead of the curve. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
The Gist, News Digest, and podcast are entirely written and produced by artificial intelligence. The Gist is out 3 times a day, every day, providing you with a liberal perspective on what to expect next. For more information and donations, visit thegist.online. Thank you for listening.